if you are a team leader, if you are a team manager, like you have people that report to you, right? Your role as a manager, as a leader, is essentially to take the company's objectives and translate it into actionable items that your team can execute on,
Okay.
right? If the company does not have the principles and values in place that help shape the right incentives for you as a leader to
Mm-hmm.
take into consideration your team's mental well-being and sustainable pace and continued engagement, it's going to be
Yeah.
real difficult for you to actually do something for in order to promote those things, because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes what you're going to find is that if you invest in those things without having the backing or the support or the infrastructure at a company cultural level, what
Yeah.
the company will actually see is that you are not performing the job that you were hired to do in the first place,
Exactly.
right? and
Exactly.
and
Oh
it
my
puts
God.
managers and leaders in a really difficult position, because you can care a lot about your team,
Mm-hmm.
but if there's no support system, if there's no infrastructure at an institutional level to allow for people that care about other people to do what's necessary to promote sustainability and mental well-being and uh, good engagement modes, that's
Yeah.
not something that you can fix at a team level unless you're willing to put your job on the line.
Imagine this. Your product is gaining traction. Your team is growing, and you're finally past the MVP phase. You've got a roadmap, deadlines, and a backlog that is not going away. You're hiring, onboarding, running stand-ups, reviewing code, and somehow still expected to ship. On the surface, everything's working, but something feels heavier. Someone starts missing retros. Another dev turns in work late for the first time. One of your best engineers tells you they're fine, but something in their tone says otherwise. And suddenly you realize leading a team isn't just about velocity, architecture, or clean code. It's also about emotional load, invisible stress, and the human side of growth that no sprint review ever captures. In today's episode, we're slowing things down to talk about the side of tech leadership that rarely makes it to the onboarding manual. Our guest is Oscar Swanros, a tech lead who not only pushes code and guides engineers, but also advocates for something just as critical: mental health. Oscar has led teams, ship product, and build culture, all while navigating the emotional weight that comes with scaling. We'll explore how pressure builds inside growing teams, what burnout actually looks like on the ground, and how leaders can show up for their people without breaking themselves in the process. Because scaling a product is hard, scaling a team is harder, but scaling both without breaking the humans behind it, that's a real challenge. Oscar, hello, and how are you, my friend? I mean, I think I say this every time we are recording an episode on the podcast here in the Scale Dilemma, and is that we kind of struggle with the schedule and those kind of things. But we've been through thick and thin in this episode, right? But finally, we're here. Hello,
Yeah,
how are you, man?
it's been honestly like this first half of the year has been a little bit crazy. Lots of traveling, lots of changes, both professionally and personally. So I got married. We just moved to a new house.
When I saw your stories, your first stories about scuba diving and everything, I was like, you know what? I think that what Swanros is doing right now with what Oscar is doing right now, it has to be related to mental health. It has
Hmm.
to be some therapy for his own or whatever, right? Because you are such an enthusiast about that. So, am I right or not?
Yeah, I think you have the right idea
Hmm.
about this, because for me, kind of pushing myself into growth areas outside of work
Hmm.
has actually been one of the key strategies to keep a sane mind and sustainable performance. So
Okay.
in scuba diving, what I found is like this combination of, it is fun enough right? That I just feel excited, that I
Mm-hmm.
have something to look forward outside
Yeah.
of the day-to-day work.
Uh-huh.
um, it's technical enough that still it still scratches my itch, of the engineering minded,
I
like,
know.
brain that I have, is like,
Yeah.
okay, let's learn all about the different variables that we have to play with. So
Mm-hmm.
that's also fun. And honestly, like, it's just like being out in nature,
Mm-hmm.
and meeting new people, and meeting interesting people and new friends. And in the year that I've been doing this, I found that just like doing something completely different has exposed me to so many different things that I otherwise I wouldn't have had the opportunity to experience. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
I knew it.
yeah,
I knew it. I just knew it. Yeah. And speaking of which, and that's what this episode is about, right? Because we were wondering, well, why are we here? um
yeah,
I wanted to, well, this podcast is about scaling, right? And dilemmas,
right,
the several dilemmas that you are going to face when the business is scaling, with technologies are not just good enough, or you need to jump on a different stack or whatever, right?
right.
But um I wanted to give like a twist on the story here, because that's what I was wondering, right? Like, the does mental health really impact on teams and on the performance on the team?
It all depends what's the angle that you're
Hmm.
looking at this from, because like there's many different ways that you can look at the effects or importance of mental health in a team, right? Like, if you are a team leader,
Hmm.
you can have an idea or have a specific thing in mind of why it matters. If you are just a team member, right, it could mean something different to you, because like you're just only thinking about yourself, you're not necessarily thinking about the people you work with.
Uh-huh.
If you're a business owner, it has different implications. If you are, I don't know, a client,
Yeah.
well, you don't necessarily need to care about. That's not your responsibility. That's why you're paying someone else
Uh-huh. Yeah,
to do
sure.
the thing for you. So, I mean, the what I'm trying to say is that it's definitely important. Just the fact that it doesn't mean the same thing for everyone involved in the equation
Hmm.
is not is not an excuse to ignore mental health
Yeah.
in team building. So we can take whatever avenue you want to explore the
Mhm.
topic, but
Mhm.
I mean, yes, it's important.
And well, now that you mention it, I mean, I would like to take this road. Like, what was the moment in your career when you found out that, mental health is a biggie here, right? If I don't
Right.
take care of myself, or if I don't take care of my team, or if I don't take care of the big team, right? In a broader picture, this thing's is not gonna end well.
Yeah. Um, well, I think unfortunately it's one of the things that in Spanish we have like this saying that goes nadie escarmienta, nadie escarmienta
No es que
en
venta,
cabeza
yeah,
ajena,
yeah,
right? Which essentially means like no one, you cannot substitute lived experience by like wisdom, right? Like
yes, yes.
you cannot do it.
Yeah,
You have
you
to
can
live
just
through
read a
things.
book. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Like you have to live through things to actually form your own opinions and form your own ideas about a specific topic, especially a topic that's so taboo in some regards still,
Hmm.
and so personal, right? Like
Yeah,
everyone has different uh, wants, everyone has different needs, everyone has a different background, different interests, and different ideas of what it means to be successful.
yeah,
um for me, unfortunately, like I had to go through this process of essentially hitting a wall, right, in which
yeah.
like I had tried everything that I thought I had at my disposal to feel a sense of satisfaction, a sense of accomplishment, a sense of
Mhm.
I don't know, pride about the work that
Mm-hmm.
I was doing, because I was so involved and self-involved, honestly, in the work that I was doing, that the moment that my work was not going the way that I wish it would,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I felt myself of my sense of identity threatened,
Okay.
and I didn't like how that behavior or how that situation reflected on my personal life, right? Like I became like withdrawn from my relationships. I became like much more reactive. I was like, it was not pretty, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
the fact that I was essentially looking for things, um, looking for a sense of deeper satisfaction out of my work. The first sign that something was off for me,
Mm-hmm.
I think, was when I started noticing through different means, but I started noticing that I could not meet someone new, like outside of the professional sphere. I could not meet someone new without introducing myself by my job title,
Okay. Okay,
right?
like on Instagram, like I'm doing this, right? Like, hey,
Right.
hello, I'm Oscar Swanros. I do this and I do that, right?
Right. And like these people that in their Facebook profiles have like their job
Uh,
title, like
yeah,
ingeniero
engineer, right?
Pedro.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like, come
exactly.
on, wait, no.
That's not you. That's or at least that's not only you, right? That's what you mean.
Right, like that's part of you for
Mm.
sure. That's not you, and the fact, like, because, and I can speak of this because I was that guy
Mm-hmm.
once, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's like, yeah, that's what you do, right? But that's only 8 hours of your day, ideally,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when your whole identity is tied to the things that you do and how you think you are adding value to something or somewhere,
Yeah.
it's really difficult because essentially you're putting everything on the hands of um, externalities, essentially,
Yeah.
right?
And on
Uh,
the market,
yeah,
on the company's purpose or vision or whatever, right?
right.
And speaking of which, I mean, how does a person, well, could we just said that this is burned out, this is the mythical demon and the longness monster that everybody talks about and nobody's sure about it and whatever, and still there is a debate on the internet, is there burnout or not, and how does burnout feel, and how does burnout is seen and whatever. So is that burnout, Oscar?
Well, it's one of those things, right? Like, it depends, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, I came to understand burnout as as a combination of your aspirations not matching your circumstances and having and feeling powerless to do something about it,
Okay.
right?
Wow. Can you
Like
repeat that? Can you repeat it, like, well, for everybody to listen like that? What is burnout according to Oscar?
the way that I came to understand burnout
Uh
is
huh.
when, for a sustained period of time,
Uh huh.
your aspirations do not match your circumstances and you feel powerless
Oh
about
my.
doing something about it.
Oh my. Oh my. Yeah.
I mean, and that to me is how I came to understand burnout, because that's the situation that I was in for a long time, right?
Mhm.
But the difficulty for me was that I had not developed the language or acquired the knowledge to understand how to bridge that gap between aspirations and circumstances. And when I understood the changes that I needed to make in my personal and professional life to align my aspirations with my circumstances, everything
Mhm.
just like started, being like easier in that
Yeah.
regard, right? But it was difficult because that required me to essentially take a hard look at the mirror and say, okay, like, I have like this piece of information about what I think I am, who I think I am,
Yeah.
and who I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
Am I willing to take the active steps to play an active role in shaping my circumstances so that they
Mm-hmm.
match my aspirations?
Oh my.
And that's
Yeah.
the difficult part.
And have you ever experienced like being there? I mean, whenever you are there, I believe that everything around you, your surroundings and everything, and I'm talking about your teammates or your lead or the thing you're leading. Sorry, the team you're leading. When you are there, are you capable of noticing that someone else is going through this exact phase that you are?
At a personal level, like I think I've developed this sixth sense almost
Mm-hmm.
to identify the behavioral patterns that match my lived experience.
Mm-hmm.
But like I want to underline that last thing that I said, my
Yeah.
lived experience, because
Yeah.
obviously I will, through my lens, I will only be able to recognize those people, those patterns that match what I have gone through, right? Like I'm not a psychologist. I don't have formal studies on this, so I don't have a trained eye to say, okay, like, oh, you're going through this
Yeah.
shape of problem
Mm-hmm.
psychologically,
Yeah.
right? But I've noticed in myself that I have like this really keen sense to identify a person that's going through a similar shape of transformation that I went through in
And
the past.
how does a team that has this kind of situation looks like?
Well, I think it's tricky, right? Because
Uh,
you can look at this from many different angles. Like from a leadership perspective, I think you will notice these behaviors or these signs that something is off at
mm-hmm.
the individual level,
Yeah.
right? Because one of my key tenets over the past few years has been to see leadership and management
Mm-hmm.
as complementary disciplines. They're not the same thing. They're
Okay.
not the same thing, right? So
Yeah.
what I mean is like leadership and management complement each other to create a role within an organization
Okay.
that performs a function. Um, what I mean by this and why I bring this up is because like as a leader,
Mm-hmm.
if you are exercising your role as a leader, that means, at least by my definition of leadership, that means that you have a good relationship one to one with each one of your reports and you understand what's their situation and
Mm-hmm.
their personal context and their ability to execute um, on the based off the expectations that you have for the team, right?
Okay. Okay.
Leadership requires you to be invested in your team at a personal level.
Yeah.
Not necessarily personal that you like go
Yeah.
have dinner
Yeah.
at their house, but like
Not
it's not
just,
like no, I talk to you and we talk one to one and we build this. We invest in building this trust and
relationship.
relationship.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At a management level, which is a different aspect of the role,
Uh-huh.
at a management level, you will start noticing that something is off because deadlines are not being met, because the metrics that you need to be watching are going in the wrong direction,
Yeah.
because you're facing complaints from customers. Like there's operational flags
Yeah.
that will get raised if
And
your
and
team is not performing.
and how do you fix this? I mean, like, I know there is no recipe or whatever, but do you think that tech leads should have this emotionally training, sorry, emotionally training or something? Or because most of the times it's just like that, right? Like the highest performance engineer, right, the highest performance engineer gets promoted to tech lead or something, right? If
Right.
you see that these guys have kind of like a social thing that, let's be honest, most of engineers lack of, right? And they know how to talk to people, and they know how to talk to a client, right, in front of a client. So they get promoted, and that's it, right? But what about this emotional situation and how to deal with these people at a personal level, as you said?
It depends on the principles and values that shape how the company makes decisions at a cultural level, right? Unfortunately, I don't think that we I don't think we can talk about solving for this problem
Mm-hmm.
at a team level, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
look at this from this perspective. If you are a team leader, if you are a team manager, like you have people that report to you, right? Your role as a manager, as a leader, is essentially to take the company's objectives and translate it into actionable items that your team can execute on,
Okay.
right? If the company does not have the principles and values in place that help shape the right incentives for you as a leader to
Mm-hmm.
take into consideration your team's mental well being and sustainable pace and continued engagement, it's going to be
Yeah.
real difficult for you to actually do something for in order to promote those things, because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes what you're going to find is that if you invest in those things without having the backing or the support or the infrastructure at a company cultural level, what
Yeah.
the company will actually see is that you are not performing the job that you were hired to do in the first place,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And
Oh
it
man.
puts
Yeah.
managers and leaders in a really difficult position, because you can care a lot about your team,
Mm-hmm.
but if there's no support system, if there's no infrastructure at an institutional level to allow for people that care about other people to do what's necessary to promote sustainability and mental well-being and uh, you know, good engagement modes,
Yeah.
that's not something that you can fix at a team level unless you're willing to put your job on the line.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a big responsibility being the leader, right? Being the manager.
Oh,
And
it's a big responsibility being a business leader. If you are a team leader, if you are a team manager, like you have people that report to you, right? Your role as a manager, as a leader, is essentially to take the company's objectives and translate it into actionable items that your team can execute on,
okay.
right? If the company does not have the principles and values in place that help shape the right incentives for you as a leader to
Mm-hmm.
take into consideration your team's mental well being and sustainable pace and continued engagement, it's going to be
Yeah.
real difficult for you to actually do something for in order to promote those things, because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes what you're going to find is that if you invest in those things without having the backing or the support or the infrastructure at a company cultural level, what
Yeah.
the company will actually see is that you are not performing the job that you were hired to do in the first place,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And
Oh
it
man.
puts
Yeah.
managers and leaders in a really difficult position, because you can care a lot about your team,
Mm-hmm.
but if there's no support system, if there's no infrastructure at an institutional level to allow for people that care about other people to do what's necessary to promote sustainability and mental well-being and uh, you know, good engagement modes, that's
Yeah.
not something that you can fix at a team level unless you're willing to put your job on the line.
So it's a big responsibility being the leader, right? Being the manager.
Oh,
And
it's a big responsibility being a business leader, like operating a business. That's the huge responsibility, because like you are in charge of setting the right incentives so that the people that you are employing can execute both in terms of what you want the business to accomplish, but also with sustainability in mind, which is another way of saying like mental health is a good investment. Investing in mental health is good business,
Yeah,
right?
it's as hard as choosing between shipping something real fast and protecting your team's well-being, right?
Think about in monetary terms,
Uh-huh.
how much money are you investing? How much money do you need to invest not only to hire someone new, to
Yeah.
replace someone that left your company burnt out,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not only in times of like the recruiting fee, the ramp up,
Yeah.
all the institutional knowledge
Yeah.
that left with that employee that you burnt out because you were not able to put the right incentives in place to make sure that people take care for themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Investing in mental health is just good business. The the tricky part is that investing in mental health does not produce discrete or tangible results that you can track in a spreadsheet.
Okay, and how do you personally handle the emotional weight that is something else, right? Of being a bridge between the business and the team
Do you
by
mean
by scuba diving, right?
right, but scuba?
Yeah.
No, when I'm the last time that I interviewed for a position, which was like 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I took a lot of time and care and dedication to actually take my interviews as an opportunity for me to interview the company as
Oh,
well,
no,
right?
interesting. That's an
It
interesting
was
approach.
it was not only me looking for a job, is what it
Mm-hmm.
was me looking for the right job.
Okay.
So every interview that I had during my process when I interviewed here, I also took the time and care and dedication to ask people about the things that I cared about.
Okay.
So I was kind of being truthful to myself, right? A few years ago, I heard this quote. I forget who said it. I think it was I think it was Jerry Colonna. Do you remember that I
Of course.
recommended this
Yes.
book
Yes.
Reboot
Yes.
to you a few years ago?
Yeah. Awesome.
I think
Mm-hmm.
I think it was this guy who said he started asking himself, how am I complicit in creating the circumstances that I think I'm a victim of?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, are you working at a company that you feel does not have enough support for you? Well, guess what? You have a choice,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a shared responsibility, I think. The way that I think about this is, well, I took a lot of care in making sure, as much as possible, of course, that um, that I felt that the company that I was working for, that I wanted to work for, or that I would end up working for,
Mm-hmm.
rather, aligned on principle and values about on the things that I cared about, right?
Yeah.
And obviously it's been a matter of like exploring and getting to know the culture better and building my own opinions and like creating the right framework. And it can be like things as stupid or simple as, like, for instance, on my laptop, on my work laptop, I actually pasted this thing on the lid,
Okay.
which is a reminder for myself of my limits.
Got it. What do you got there? Because I can see it because it's the other way around, right? I can
Yeah.
read from right
So
to left.
right, like people
Uh,
can flip this, but like
uh,
I wrote this note, and it's my 5 principles. My
okay.
5 principles for work are: trust your team, know what they have on their plate, pull back from extracurriculars, discipline, and say no more often.
Say no more often.
And every morning when I
Mm-hmm.
open my computer, that's the first thing that I read before signing into Slack.
Okay.
So it's a daily reminder that ultimately my job doesn't matter.
Yeah.
My job is not my identity, and I should enjoy my work, yes, but it's not me, and my personal value is not tied to my performance.
Wow. It's like wow, right? Okay. Oscar, what's a leadership mistake that you've made that took you here exactly where you are?
Being too opinionated. If you're trying to build a team,
Hmm.
I think it's important for you to keep in mind that the people that you're going to hire, the people that you're going to lead, by definition, are closer to the work than you are.
Okay.
If you hire, if you're a leader that's overseeing multiple projects, if you're a leader that's overseeing many people, there's no way that you can know more about their day-to-day work
I get it. Hmm. Hmm.
than
And
them,
them, of
right?
course. Yeah.
There's no way. And a big mistake that I did early in my career as a manager, as a leader, was to think that I did,
Or you should.
or that I should. Exactly. Right. Um, Obviously, the context is that I was working with mobile engineers, of course, um, and I had a background in mobile engineering, so I still felt the pull of my, you know,
Yeah.
engineer brain trying to engage in the problems and trying to solve them myself through other people.
Yeah. Like move aside. I can do that, right? Or why did you do
Right.
that? Why did you do this way, right?
Right. Which is completely antithetical to the idea of why would you want to hire great engineers,
Yeah.
right?
If
and
you can
and
do it,
Steve
if you can
Jobs,
do it all right, right?
exactly, Steve
Mhm.
Jobs said this. There's a really good video on YouTube about Steve Jobs saying exactly this, which is, you don't want to hire the best engineers to tell them what to do,
Well,
right? You want to hire the best engineers so they tell you what you need to do, right? And that's an idea that I've kind of really incorporated into my leadership style, to a point in which I just tell my engineers, like, I don't know, I don't, like, I have an idea of where I want to take the platform,
hmm,
right? I have a goal. Let's make sure that from your perspective that goal is, one, attainable, two, realistic, right,
yeah,
and three, achievable, right? And you are going to help me shape the roadmap to get there. I'm not going to impose, I'm not going to be imposing anything on the team, because, like, I don't know. I'm not on Xcode all day.
yeah,
You
yeah,
are, right? So you tell me. And it's not the usual way things go in
yeah.
many companies, and it and for my teams definitely took some adjustment, but it's been it's been a great investment for us to build this trust and this relationship.
And I mean, everything you're saying is like key, right? And it's really super important. But I believe that is not the same kind of job or amount of job when you have a team from 3 to 10 to 10 to 30 to 30 to 50 or 100, right? So
Right.
how does the pressure change?
I think one of the main things that as a leader you have to keep in mind is the fact that we only have a finite amount of hours
Okay.
on a day that we can
Hmm.
actually devote to do a to have engaged conversations, right? the moment the moment you need to the moment you feel that, this is my heuristic, the
Hmm.
moment I feel that I have to go through meetings, through one-on-ones, just to have a check mark, right, on a piece of paper saying that I went through the motions of being leader,
Yeah.
that's the moment that I start noticing that I'm spread too thin,
Mm.
and that I need to start delegating a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
As a leader, if I am not able to be engaged in the conversations, to provide useful insights, useful information with the people that rely on me to do so, then I'm not doing my job.
So the glorification of the one-on-one, right? Is there
Right.
anything else, another framework, whatever? And I ask you this because I remember like 3 or 4 years ago, you told me we were discussing on a roof. I don't know if you remember that, but I was like, "Oh, okay, so Scrum and whatever." And you went like, "I hate Scrum. I don't like this kind of thing. No,
Right.
that's not cool. No, that doesn't work, right, or whatever." So, what about one-on-one?
No, I think one-on-ones are are the thing that I enjoy the most about my job. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
one-on-ones are the meetings that I do not skip, or at least try to not skip.
Yeah.
Are the meetings that I actually um, uh, prioritize. If I need to remove something from my calendar, the last
Mm-hmm.
thing that I want to remove is a one-on-one, because
Okay.
a one-on-one is an opportunity to continue building the relationship, the trusting relationship that I have with each one of my reports and with each one of my peers, right? And as a leader, if I don't have the trust of my reports, if I don't have the trust of my peers, then what am I doing?
What kind of questions helps you go deeper besides the classical housework to going, right? Like how you doing or something like that.
Well, let's say like if I'm trying to build a new relationship with one of someone that I just recently hired, right? Like the first couple months, the one-on-ones will have a more structured structure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The first one-on-ones, the first months will be a little bit more structured from the sense of like, okay, let's go through the motions. Do you have any questions about the company? Do you have any questions about our rhythm, about our ceremonies, about the way we make decisions, et cetera, right? My ultimate goal is that the person that I'm speaking with feels that they can trust me enough
Mm-hmm.
that they can take the conversation in any way, any direction they want or need,
Yeah.
right? And so for instance, it's like the first few questions, the first few one-on-ones I would ask, is there anything that surprised you over the past week?
Okay.
Is there anything that you thought was interesting over the past week? Is there anything that made you go WTF
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that you want to talk about, that you want to unpack, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything that's frustrating you, right? And it naturally we come to a point in which like we just join the call and they have a topic ready to go, and then it's their meeting.
When I discovered something that I was really not into or like totally against, like this person having, I don't know, an affair in the office and whatever, because they tell you because they are really like into you, like they feel really confident around you or whatever, right? How do you react on that? Because I sometimes I got things that I didn't know what to do with, right? Like
Right.
how am I going to help this guy, or is this just for understanding how they act or whatever? Like do you have any stories like that, like when you
Oh,
didn't
for
know what
sure.
to do?
It comes with the territory, right?
Yeah.
um, Building trust at a personal level, and this is like the difficult part, the difficult dichotomy, I would say, of
Hmm.
being both a manager and a leader, because it can feel a little bit like cheating sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
um because right, like it can feel that you are taking advantage of the people that you work with,
Hmm.
because you're building these trusting relationships, right?
Yeah.
So this is like this push and pull that happens between these two sides of the same coin. And honestly, like I don't have an answer for that, of
Hmm.
how should you um react when someone shares something so personal,
Yeah.
right? Other than saying thank you for trusting me with that information, and then doing
Hmm.
your utmost effort to compartmentalize that away,
Yeah.
right? and just
Yeah.
like stay with the fact that this person trusts you enough to share this information, right? And
Yeah.
also trusts you to not use this information against them in a performance review, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, Obviously, each company, well, not obviously, but I think each company should have a clear guideline about what to do with some with certain type of information, right?
Yeah.
For instance, I know that there are companies that in the employee handbook they specifically, like explicitly prohibit people from discussing uh, anything related to, you know, sensible topics such as like sexual
Control
orientation,
behavior. Yeah.
uh, like politics, anything that could set some sort of precedent or
Mm-hmm.
just create some sort of situation in which people could feel discriminated against,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
it
Mm-hmm.
is it is explicitly prohibited in the company manual, and I think that's one of the recourses, the resources we have to make sure that people feel safe, right? It's just like
Yeah.
we're not going to talk about it.
So, and that's like kind of key in this conversation, right? Because you started saying like your identity doesn't belong to what you do for a living,
Right.
right? And exactly that. Your personal situation doesn't necessarily goes through extends to the people you work with, right?
Right.
So you have to understand that yeah, it's part of who you are, but it's still a job, and you have to be professional about
Right.
it,
Right.
right?
And there's also this weird weird perception, because as a manager, as a leader, oftentimes you're like, if not most of the times, you're actually speaking for the company when
Yes.
you are talking to the people that are on your team reporting to you, right? Like, you are, to them, you are the
The
face of the
company,
company,
of course.
right? You are
Yes.
the one that upholds the values and the rules and the guidelines of the company. So again, key skill for anyone that's in front of teams making decisions and leading people, how to draw that line
Hmm.
and navigate these situations in which people like don't get too close to your employee. Like, it's, I don't know, it's difficult, it's a difficult one.
Okay, Oscar. And what's one thing you hope your teammates remembered about you, not as an engineer, but as a leader?
Yeah, that the thing that comes to mind is that I did whatever was on in my hands to procure their personal and professional growth according to the terms that were available to me.
Hmm.
Um, because the way that I've been thinking, the way that I think that about my job is that my role as a leader is to ensure that the aspirations and ideas of my people, the people that report to me, intersect with what the company needs.
We always close these kind of episodes with a question, with a personal question, and a kind of lighted question. So
All right.
here it comes. If your career was a playlist, if your career were a playlist, what will the title of that playlist will be?
If my professional career was a playlist, what would be the title of that playlist?
Hmm.
I would say it's not gonna make you happy,
Okay, okay.
and it would include uh, Rolling Stones. It would include James
Yeah,
Dean. Like, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I gotta make that playlist now.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Oscar, for being here at Scale and Dilemma. It was like always a pleasure
My
to
pleasure.
speak to you, right? To have these kind of conversations that it always like charge me with energy and everything, right? So thank you again, man, and hope to see you soon.
All right, man. Thank you.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Bye.
You too. Bye. So yes, shipping matters, but how we show up while shipping matters even more. Oscar reminds us that leadership isn't just about decision making or code reviews. Sometimes it's about knowing when to slow down, when to listen, and when to protect what can be revealed with a PR. In upcoming episodes, we'll keep exploring what happens behind the scenes when startups scale. Not just the frameworks and playbooks, but the conversations, the trade-offs, and sometimes uncomfortable truths that come with growth. Whether it's building culture, aligning vision, or navigating tension between product and people. The scaling dilemma is just getting started. Thanks for listening.